Well, hello and welcome to Alcohol, Drugs, and Us. Tonight we're going to talk about a really important topic, and that is why can't you stop alcohol and or drugs? Why can't you stop? And so I'm Joseph McCray. I'm a registered nurse in the field of addiction treatment, and I just want to find out why can't you stop? And so you who are out there watching, please chime in. Please give your comment. Please give your statement of why can't people stop alcohol and or drugs? Because sometimes, believe it or not, people are using both, right? They're using alcohol and they are also using drugs. Father, I just thank you for this opportunity to share. May this broadcast be a blessing to people all over the world, God. May somebody hear a word or two that will prick their hearts and point them in another direction, in a direction closer to you. In Jesus' name, amen. So that's what alcohol, drugs, and us is here to do, and that is to help you who are out there try to figure this thing out called addiction, called drug use, called alcohol consumption, whatever title you want to put on it, we'll go with it. But tonight I want to talk about a very important topic, and that is why can't you stop? And so I heard earlier in the comments on Facebook, someone said that why can't people stop is because they don't want to. So they said they just don't want to. Someone type that in. Don't want to. Yeah. So think about that for a minute. Someone says, I just don't want to, right? They enjoy or they get some type of pleasure, they get some type of feeling from the use of alcohol and drugs. And at this point in their life, they haven't come to a place where they say they don't want to. So they want to. So why can't they stop? It's because they don't want to. And that's a will thing. That's the issue of your will, Some other ideas that I was thumbing around in my head was sometimes people don't want to feel bad. So believe it or not, folks, sometimes people they don't want to feel bad because when they do stop, they have withdrawals, they have uncomfortability, they get anxiety, their mood drops. They just really feel bored. They don't feel like they have any pleasure. They lost all pleasure, all good feelings because things have gone down now. The substance is not there and they're not really feeling the greatest. They're not feeling the greatest at all. And so that can happen too. So sometimes people may find themselves not wanting to stop because they don't want to feel bad. And we want to tell you that there is an opportunity for you to seek out treatment. Some people are prayed for, delivered, set free, and never have a taste for alcohol, drugs again. But then there are those who may go into a detox, may go into a treatment center and find help there. So that's just one more reason why people may not want to stop. Here's another one that just came to me, and that is people don't want my typing skills. They don't want to be an outsider. So they don't want to. They don't want to seem like they're not part of the crowd. That they're not on the, they're not with the in thing, the in crowd. They're not popular. And so sometimes they say they don't want to stop because it's not cool. It's not cool to stop. They want to be a part of, what's happening now. And that may be a reason for why they just don't want to stop, because they want to feel like they belong. They want to feel like they connect. And so you may have a situation like that as well. And then sometimes people, believe it or not, don't know how to stop. Like, they know how to cut down, but they may not know how to stop. They may not know how to change that behavior. And that may take you getting yourself out of that environment that you've been accustomed to and getting into an environment where people are in recovery, where people are abstaining, right? Abstaining from alcohol, abstaining from drug use. And for some people, that's a world they just don't know, right? They've never really experienced what it means to just not use. You have people who are teenagers who started out using, and it's been a part of their adulthood, and they may have, like, folks, believe it or not, decades of use in their background, and all of a sudden now, they're being told to stop, or, jobs or people who love them are saying, hey, you need to give this up. And that can be quite a challenge. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. I want to stop. So I want to just people find that they just can't stop. Here's one that you probably will be like a little amazed by this one. Sometimes people are bored. They're bored with life. Okay? Sometimes people are bored. And they're bored with life, and nothing else gives them pleasure. Nothing else gives them a good feeling except to drink or to use. And that's really bad. That's really a sad situation, that the only pleasure, the only fun they get out of life is to drink alcohol or use drugs. And life is meant to be more than having to be stuck. Can't get your day going without a drink, without some drug in your body. And so, but believe it or not, some people find life very boring without substance use. And it's just what they do, it's what they wake up to, it's what they do throughout the day. And it's just a part of life. And so now you're telling them to stop. Why don't you stop? And sometimes another one is people sometimes feel like they can function. They feel like they can function. Like there is no problem. They're like, what are you talking about, Joe? I'm functioning. I'm a functioning addict. But you could be functioning better. And those who say, well, I went to work, I took care of my family, but you could always have done a better job of it if you didn't have alcohol and drugs in the picture. And that level of functioning is kind of questionable, because it's only you doing the assessment. And if you're doing that assessment while you're under the influence, then That's a tough one. That's a tough one. So here's another one. Sometimes, believe it or not, there's a word that begins with D, and it's called denial. There are people who are in denial. They don't believe you when you say, I believe you have a problem. I believe that you drink too much. I believe your life is unmanageable. I believe that your health is failing. I believe that uh, your work uh, production is not at its best. They are in denial. Like, what are you talking about? Like, those things are not really happening to me. You're just jealous. You're just envious, and they don't really see what is going on. And that's a tough one. Sometimes consequences have to take place before that person comes to themselves, before they look at the man in the mirror and really realize, like, wow, you know what, they were right. Things are starting to fall apart. Like, I really could be having a better life if I had, a better consciousness of what's going on with myself. So sometimes people are in denial. Another one, and you can type in something, send me something if you if it comes to your mind. Sometimes people, there is embarrassment. I mean, there's embarrassment. Like, wow, I couldn't handle my drink. I couldn't handle my drug use. Oh, I see a comment. We're gonna see what we got here. Nelby said, no immediate consequences. That is good. That is good. No immediate consequences. Yeah. A lot of times people get immediate satisfactions, they get immediate benefits, but the consequences don't come sometimes for quite a while. Then that'll be absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes people will continue in the behavior. I tell the story all the time that when I first smoked a cigarette, I got a headache, I got dizzy, and I got caught by my sister all in the same day. Okay? A headache, felt dizzy, and then my sister saw me, told my mom, and I got in trouble. So, what do you think happened, folks? I didn't want to smoke cigarettes anymore because I got immediate consequences. I got 3 immediate consequences that said, hey, this isn't good, If I had got past that headache and the dizziness, didn't get caught, I pretty much probably would have continued in a lifestyle of smoking cigarettes. But immediately, all those things happened at one time, and it just deterred me from wanting to smoke. And I know people who smoked, and I'm sure they had a bad experience when they first did it, but they kept at it, and eventually the nicotine became a part of their routine to the point where they weren't getting any more headaches, they weren't getting any dizziness, nobody was catching them, and before you know it, they start spending a lifetime of or long period of smoking. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about tonight. Why can't people stop? Why can't they stop? And you who are out there, if you have some more comments to why can't people stop? And this is really good because I think it is going to show people that those reasons why you're saying you can't stop are not really the best reasons, right? Like, there is far more benefit to stopping than it is to continue. And so as they're popping off my head, I'm typing them in, and then if some come to you, you type them in as well. Sometimes people are doing it because they have the money to do it. They have the money. They have quite a lot of money, and they're trying to find a way to just go to another level in their lives. They got all the little toys they like to play with, and now they're asking, like, what else is out there? And someone comes along and says, hey, why don't you try this? they get a good feeling, they get euphoria, they feel great, and before you know it, this is a lifestyle. This is something that they say they don't want to stop doing, and so and that's a tough one. That's a tough one. And then sometimes people say they can't stop because their significant other uses. So sometimes they say, well, I can't stop because the person I love drinks, the person I love use drugs. And so they continue in the behavior because to be in this relationship, it's expected for me to continue with use. And that's a tough one. Sometimes we see that in treatment. A spouse will come in while the other spouse is home, still continuing with use. And then when that person comes out, they're going to go back home into the same setting. And that's going to be a pretty tough recovery for them. So let's see here. I got another comment. And Nelby says, pleasure principle, instant gratification. Pleasure principle, instant gratification. Help me out with that. Like, can you break that down a little bit more? The pleasure principle. Okay, instant gratification. I want to make sure I kind of respond back to you appropriately. So Nelby is an addictions counselor, and she's phenomenal. So she put some terminology in here that I she might have to break it down a little bit more for me, just so I can tell it correctly to the listening audience. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Like, why can't you stop, right? Why can't you stop? These are all the reasons why people might say that like they just can't stop, right? They just can't stop. And sometimes another one that comes to mind as we get some more feedback from Nelby is I've been doing it so long. So sometimes people say, well, I've been doing it all of my life. I've been doing it since I was 18, 20. I'm 45 now. Well, you may have been doing it for a long time, but it may have not been the best thing. Maybe things are starting to catch up to you. Maybe things are not as popular like they were when you first started. Okay, she broke it down. She said driving needs and desires, aiming to avoid pain, discomfort. Okay, so people have driving needs and desires, aiming to avoid pain. Okay, yeah, I can get with that. Sometimes there's traumas in people's lives, things that folks have gone through, and they're dealing with it and managing it through the use of alcohol and drugs. Not a good choice, folks. Not a good choice. So you have had some tough situations happen in your life, and now you're what we call self-medicating. Now you're treating it with alcohol and or drugs, and that's not wise. The best way to treat that is through some spiritual counseling, through some psychological counseling, maybe even medications, some therapies, but not the use of alcohol and drugs, because they have the ability to cause you to be addicted and cause your life to spiral out of control. And then you're still left with the pain and discomfort. You really haven't been able to address your trauma, address your stressful life events in a manageable way. And you've been doing it in what we call a maladaptive way, not in a healthy way. And so that brings me to sometimes people say they can't stop because it is like medicine. It is like medicine to them. They see alcohol and drugs as like what they might call it therapeutic. They may say it's therapeutic, it's helpful to them, But to be honest, it's really harming. It's probably more than likely really doing more damage than they really know, as far as relationships, as far as how they're performing in their jobs, their health. And if they will really be honest, if they will really be honest with themselves, if they will really take the opinions of others who are around them, who love them, you know, when they're in a moment of sobriety, get some feedback from those who really love them and who really care. And so thank you for explaining that, Nelby. Thank you for breaking that down for us, helping us understand. So that's what I'm talking about tonight. I definitely want to. So yeah. So we want to talk about, and that's what we've been talking about. Why can't you stop? Why can't you stop? Right? And as we have explored some of these ideas of why can't you stop, I hope that the listening audience and people who will watch this video will think about it and say, you know what, I need to change my will. I say I don't want to, but I need to change my will. I need to change the way I've been deciding for my life and make a decision to want to stop, to want to abstain, right? And then I don't want to feel bad. I need to go somewhere where I won't feel bad. I won't physically feel bad when I stop. I will go to a detox. I'll go to a treatment center and I will get the necessary medications to make me comfortable as I give up this drug or this alcohol I've been using. Many of these things will cause you some serious withdrawals, folks, and they could be very scary. So reaching out to a hospital, to a detox is a great idea, okay? It is well worth it to do that so you won't feel bad. And then not wanting to be an outsider, folks, there are groups that will accept you as a non-user. There are places that people will accept you as somebody who no longer drinks anymore, who no longer drugs anymore. There are all kinds of support groups: Narcotic Anonymous, Alcoholic Anonymous, living sober groups, all over the place. People will accept your change and accept you turning it around. And then you don't know how to stop. I just gave you some advice on how to stop. Seeking out treatment, seeking out your spiritual leader, your pastor, your primary care doctor. All those are places that will help you to stop. And then people are bored with life. There's more to life than getting high. And this is for young people. It's more to life than smoking marijuana, smoking cigarettes, lifting your dopamine levels higher than they should be. There's more to life. There's a whole big world out there that you have to explore and find out, what do you really want to be in life, right? What do you really want to be? What do you really want to do? You don't need your brain impaired. You don't need your mind distorted in no way. People feel they can function that way. You can function better. That's my word. You can function better. Don't be in denial. Be honest with yourself. Take the opinions of people. Listen to those who care about you the most. What they say, what they see. All right? Don't worry about the embarrassment. We all face embarrassment. We all fall down, but we get back up, right? You're going to be embarrassed. You had to go into treatment. You're going to be embarrassed. You had to surrender. But it's going to be well worth it, folks. Yeah, you got money, but you can spend your money in other places much better than on drugs and alcohol. If your significant other uses, this is a tough one. It might mean changes in your relationship. This is really hard. Sometimes people are not coming on board. Your wife is not coming on board. Your husband is not coming on board. They're going to continue in what they do no matter what. And you have to make the decision, is this a life that you signed up for? Is this a life that you want to continue in? And there are people who make that decision and they go in another direction, and the two can't agree. But that's up to you. That's totally up to you. Don't let another person pull your life down, and that's not what you want to do. That's not what you want. You want to be, better than that. And I see that. It's a very tough challenge. It's not an impossible one, but you have to make that decision. It's not my call to make. I'm just putting it out there, giving you an opportunity to think about it. I've been doing this so long. So what? You've been doing it 20 years. You've been doing it 30 years. But has it really worked for you? Has it been beneficial? Has it been all cut out to be what it said it would be? Or have you lost out on some time? Have you looked back over your life and said, wow, I missed out on a lot of things. I'm being consumed with alcohol or drugs. And then thinking that it's therapeutic. It's not therapeutic. Marijuana is not therapeutic. Mental health and marijuana is not therapeutic. Trying to use it to help you with your mental status, not good. Cocaine, opioids, alcohol, ecstasy, you name them all. They're just not therapeutic. They will not be prescribed by any decent psychiatrist, okay? Any decent medical doctor would never prescribe drugs for the treatment of your ailments, okay? Now, I'm not going to say that doctors may do it, but I just say any decent one. Anyone who looked at the evidence that these drugs can just take your mind in a lot of different directions. And so, I want to thank you who are going to watch this video, who are going to share this video as well. I appreciate you taking the time to do that, because we do have to talk about why can't people stop, right? Is that totally impossible? And as you've seen tonight, it's not totally impossible. There's a whole lot of things to consider when it comes to stopping, but people do it all the time. I work in treatment. I watch it every day. People decide to stop. They walk through the doors of the treatment center and they've made a decision, I want to stop. I want to turn this thing around. I want to do something different with my life. And many of them are so happy that they made that decision. And folks, believe it or not everybody who comes into treatment really works their program. Some come in and they're not serious. Some come in and they're, still got games. Yes, LB, recovery is possible. Absolutely. We see it all the time. We see some miraculous stories. We see folks turn their lives totally around. We see people at death's door, just totally buying in to treatment, becoming a believer. And sometimes the people who actually care for folks who come in recovery, patients who come in recovery, clients who come in for recovery, sometimes the clinicians want recovery more than the patient wants it. And then eventually the patient begins to want it. And that's a beautiful thing. Believe it or not, folks, sometimes the nurse and the counselor really wants recovery for that individual more than they want it. We're calling them, we're reminding them, we're encouraging them. And sometimes they eventually buy in and then they want it too. So Nelby said, you must be a willing participant. Absolutely. You must be a willing participant. But I've really watched, Nelby, that sometimes the counselor or the nurse really wants it, sometimes more than the patient. But we do have to draw back because we can't want it more than you want it. But for a moment, we may really go the extra mile and really try to, to get you on board. But there comes a point where we have to step back. Absolutely, she said, we have to step back and say, hey, do you really want this? Do you want this? Are you willing to make the sacrifice? Are you willing to pay the price. She said, right, we see it daily. I've done it. I know that's right. And then she said, you have to. Yeah, you do. You really, really have to step back and let people sort of work their program. You know, you can lay down all the tools for them. You can show them all the different ways how to make this happen. And they have to, you have to look up and see them in group. You know, you have to look up and see them going to their appointments. You know, like you have to see that like they have now bought into this and have become a believer. It's just the same way as a Christian, right? You know, you go to church, you get pushed to go to church. Come on, go to church. And it's the beautiful thing when one day you just go on your own. I mean, I just remember, I know I'm kind of like going in another direction. I just remember the day that I got up and went to church and my mother didn't say, come on, I need you to go to church. And she was so happy. She was so excited that I just got up and wanted to go, you know. And that was a beautiful thing. After all those years of saying, come on, get up, you're going to church. And then one day I had the will to go. I wanted to go. And that's the same way in treatment. So now we said, right, we see it there. Okay, she said that already. Okay, you have to. Yeah. You have to, folks. So that's what I came by here tonight, this evening, to share with you is reasons why people might say they can't stop. But for every reason why they say they can't stop, there is an opposite reason for why they can stop. Okay? Why they can stop. So I hope this has been a blessing to somebody. I hope that somebody has been touched in some way. Both alcohol and drugs are real. They are real. They can do some serious damage to your life, to your family, to your work experience, to your school experience, to every aspect of your life. They can just really have some detrimental effects, okay? And so I'm speaking from my heart, and I hope you hear my heart, that it's just time to make a change. You know, Michael Jackson said it. I'm just saying it along with him. It's time to make a change. Nelby said evidence shows it's possible with treatment, therapy, medication, support, and motivation. Yes, it is possible. People turn their lives around all the time. All the time, folks. All the time. Some people you would never know that are walking right beside you, maybe even working right next to you, living right across the street from you, who turned their lives around. And it's been a beautiful thing for them. And so I just encourage you out there to just turn your life around. You know, you don't have an excuse. You can't say, well, nobody told me, I never heard that you should stop. Yes, you did. You just heard it tonight or tomorrow morning or next week. You can stop. You can stop. And you will look back and you will not regret it. You will not regret it. All right? So thank you, Nelby, for chiming in with all this great advice, all these nuggets for the people. I appreciate it so much. I'm just going to close this out, folks. I love to just pray and thank God for an opportunity. God, just thank you for this opportunity, Father, to be able to share on the broadcast. God, I don't really know where this broadcast will go, who it will reach, and who it will touch. But I do know one thing. Because your hand is on it, it'll go to where it is needed the most. And I just thank you for the lives of the people who are going to make that change, who are going to take a look at the man or the woman in the mirror and see that they need to make a change. And I give you all the praise and honor in Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Nelby. Great work. You're welcome. Yeah. All right, folks. I'm so glad that everything worked out. Last week or so, I had all kind of settings up on the screen. But how many of you know if you just keep working that stuff, you'll get it right. You'll get it right. You all have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you so much. Thank you.